Thank you for joining us. This is Chris Ehmke, and you're listening to the Diesel Performance Podcast. Guys, we have an exciting show. UCC is behind us. The producer, Justin, and I did our due diligence to try to get on as many competitors as possible. Unfortunately, UCC has come to an end, but now we get to interview some of the guys who competed and get their take on the event, get their take on the performance and how they did, and see what future goals are to come. For today, we have Chris Patterson. Chris, thank you for coming back on the show.
Absolutely, guys. It's always good to catch up with y'all. How y'all been doing?
Like we were chatting before, the event goes by quick. So now it's amazing what, for us, we're closer, right? So 3-4 days, there and back. And it disrupts like the whole next week of business and just getting back into the scheme of things, I guess you can say. So I'm dying to know how it is on your end and just, the impact that it has on you, the business, and your day-to-day. But we'll start with, you finished in second place.
I know, isn't that pretty good?
That's fucking badass.
Yeah, I didn't expect that at all. Like, that's cool.
Like,
we'll take that.
I was very excited and happy to hear that you took second place. You're a good dude. The truck is super badass. I love the fact that, you stand on what you stand on, right? Like, you believe in the truck. You believe in the words that you say. There's no hiding anything. There's no encrypted bullshit. Like, you're as authentic as it gets, right? And I think the industry needs more of that. So, congrats on second place, dude. That's super fucking sick.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we definitely had our work cut out, but we managed each and every day with the cards that were dealt, and you just have to survive to the next event.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to push it harder. Sometimes you need to, or should have, stayed off of it.
Right.
So there's a lot of strategies that come into play, but overall, the very best performance you can do with one truck in 3 days, drag race, dyno, sled pull. You treat each day as its own challenge.
So let's talk about that, right? So you're in Texas. So from Texas to Indianapolis or Brownsburg is about how long of a drive?
Well, it just kind of depends. My time operates on a different level, but it's supposed to be like 14 to 16. But generally, we take a day and a half just to get there, maybe 2 days.
Now,
we like to travel nice.
Okay. So now when you travel and you're taking your time, more leisure, more laid back, do you think that that's something that helps you when you get to the competition? Now, you mentioned you take it one day at a time. What's the mindset? How do you prepare for a 3-day event, or do you not prepare that way?
You definitely have to prepare. And 2025 was the most successful UCC experience I've ever had, the most enjoyable experience, and the cheapest it's ever been. And I did prepare, and I prepared for a long time. And having pieces in place and having a plan and kind of a layout, it makes a world of difference. And this is the smallest team I've ever had. So it was a little bit different, but each day is its own day. So we came up in drag race trim ready to go. And then we swapped over to dyno and then swapped over to sled pull. So there's definitely a lot of work cut out, but it's definitely about survival more than anything.
Well, and I guess mentally, right, as you're making that day and a half drive, right, the physical preparation is the physical preparation, and there's a lot of hours that go into that. But from a mental perspective, do you mentally prepare for 3 days, or are you driving there and you're just mentally preparing for day one's drag strip? This is what we are setting out to accomplish. That's the mission.
So mine was about a preparation for about a 2-week journey.
Okay.
I'm a little bit different, and it didn't quite work out. I'll just spoil the news right there. But it was with a UCC second place win, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we headed out like 2 days early. We were at the track in Indy Tuesday night and started setting up camp and getting things ready because we knew we had a lot of work up against us. And if you're not prepared, when the opportunity comes up, you're not there. So we went up extremely early, and we competed, and we finished, and we got second. And we also brought with us all of our race week drag and drive style racing, which is like 250% injectors, a 476 or a GT42 and a GT55, like a small conservative setup. I'm sure you're familiar with my red truck, my '06.
Yeah.
Yeah, no roll cage, just a good old time slap on the ass, hang on. Like it's, man, that girl knows how to get down. And that one does 2,400. So I was like, well, that's the perfect setup for drag and drive.
Yeah.
So we were going to leave Indianapolis and go do Rocky Mountain Race Week. It's called Mega Week. 5 tracks, 5 days, 1,500 miles. You drive drag strip to drag strip and carry all your belongings you need. No chase vehicle, no trailer behind you, like loaded down. You're allowed a single axle trailer.
Okay. So a little guy.
Yep. And you have 2 destinations on the way, like checkpoints. You got to take pictures. So it's 400 miles a day, roughly.
Oh, wow.
And we were going to go do that. But by the end of the competition, we would have had to have swapped converters because we broke a stator on the dyno. We would have had to put a fuel cell in it. One of the welds cracked like the second day. So we were dripping diesel fuel every, few seconds. And then I had an electrical problem on one of my fast pumps. It was burning up relays. So I definitely had a decent amount of work cut out. So Monday morning, we have the meeting at the track after all the shindigs, all the parties over. 90% of the competitors are left. We're sitting in our pits like, well, boys, all the tools are still out. We could pick it up. We could take it out of sled pull tram, put it in drag tram, pull the transmission, change the torque converter, take the cell off. We could weld it up. We could do this, do that. And we're like, or we could just load up and go to Texas with our cool trophy and our cool check and all that. So that's what we did. Long story short, little disappointed that I didn't get to go do the race week thing. That's a very, very fun opportunity, but not disappointed at all in the results for UCC. And we hold our heads very high.
Well, I mean, and you have every right. You deserve that, right? That's a huge accomplishment. Let me ask you this. Do you think that had you placed lower in UCC, that would have pushed you to do drag week any more or any less?
I don't know. I didn't consider that. But maybe if I didn't have to change the fuel cell.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of a big deal. A cracked weld on a Chinesian tank, like, that just sucks. And I can't patch it.
No.
So that's an ugly repair. The torque converter is no problem at all. A lift pump harness from a fast kit. Like, I had a whole brand new fast in my trailer.
Just in case.
And I built a utility trailer, a 12-foot single axle dual wheel utility trailer with brakes. It's amazing. And we tow it behind the green truck for the drag and drive and the red truck. It's got flag poles on it. It's got 2 or 3 coolers, a little e-bike, a grill.
So it's set up. It is set up, to say the least.
It's got bottle openers on it. Like, no, priorities are set.
I feel like that's kind of like a party barge that you could use just to celebrate the second place, finish at UCC. I mean, the trailer's not going to waste.
No, not at all. I've already got dreams to make it bigger and better for next year.
So, with that being said, is there plans for next year for UCC then?
Well, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Okay.
In more ways than one. On one hand, I got this extremely young, thriving business that is just backorder on engines and transmissions and grounding and work that really needs operating capital and attention, and think about other than 1 year in advance on an event. Maybe, have goals in life that are successful. And then you got this addiction, this drug that you slap your wrist and it's like, all right, stick it in, I'm ready.
Terrible. It's a terrible thing. We all have it. Yeah.
It's a really hard thing. But that's one rock. But the real rock I'm getting at is I have this truck. I've got this '07 Laramie green truck that I've been pouring around for a bunch of years now. And it's got door panels and slide up and down the windows that are electric and keyless entry. And it's got a dash with an HVAC box. And like, it's really cool, but it's a street truck.
I was just going to say, you just described, and I think, not to take anything away from, some of the other trucks that you were competing against at UCC, but those trucks have taken a turn and they can't make the same claims that you're making. And I think a lot of guys sometimes look past that or don't understand the differences. But you literally have a true street trim street truck, a real street truck, a truck that you could drive on the street, and it's not burdensome to drive in any way, shape, or form. It has all the amenities still there.
Yeah, it's got fiberglass bedsides, but it has working reverse lights, tail lights, and turn signals.
You know what, though? That's not... I mean, it's still a performance truck at the end of the day. I guess for me, I'm thinking of in the cab components, right? Like that's what makes it a
for
true
sure.
street truck.
Yeah, 2 front buckets, 2 5-way harnesses, 4 bottle mattress mounts. Like, yeah, it's fun. It's definitely fun. But to continue or not, like, I feel like, number one, the green truck has fulfilled every goal I've ever set for it, period. All I wanted was 1,000 horsepower daily driver that could tow, sled, hook, dyno.
You fucked that
dirt,
one up pretty good.
Yeah, I did. I think I've done about 3 of those now.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to run 650s on fuel, and then I wanted to be the world's fastest dually, and I've accomplished all these things.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, what do I do now? Do I let it sit out in front of the shop and die? Like, it needs to be wrapped. The wrap is coming off. It needs a rear glass. We had to fix that at the track. It needs a front glass. It needs a lot of things. So I have a choice to make. It's like the red pill or the blue pill, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like, on one hand, I could keep it how it is, and I could go back. And I've already learned my mistakes from the weekend. I know how to correct them. So I could go back and try it again just like it sits. Or I could level up, and I could up a class, and we could do the fiberglass and the Lexan, and we can do the one-piece front end, and we could do the water to air, all the other really cool things that all the other dudes run, right?
Yeah.
So we could up a level, and that sounds kind of enticing. So I'm not quite sure.
So you're considering taking a 4-door long bed, originally a dually, and doing the race truck-esque, competition truck-esque things to be able to make it more competitive, not to take away that your full street trimmed crew cab long bed went 550s this weekend, which that is an insane task in its own right in the 8th.
Yeah. I mean, it's whatever. Well,
you say it subtly.
Yeah. I mean, either way, somebody's got something to say, but I'm just like, I don't know if I should build something to go really fast or take mine and make it go faster just because of what it means, or I don't know what do you think here? What should I do here? Should I just run it like it is, and
I think that if
the results or whatever?
I think it's one of those things. I mean, you've made big horsepower in the past. We know that. Unfortunately, this weekend, the horsepower game didn't play in your favor, which I'd like to go into more. But
for sure,
had things gone differently on the dyno, it wouldn't have been a second-place finish. So what is making it lighter going to benefit you when you look at the way the results landed you this past year? I'm a fan of the whole street truck-esque theme, right? Like, I'm nothing in this, but you see these badass drag trucks, and they all have their place.
Neither am I.
But you're competing. You're the one that's throwing your hat in the ring, and you're taking a truck that is, in my opinion, the direct opposite of what a true race truck would be, being the cab long bed configuration. It's not ideal, right? And you're making what's not ideal a force to be reckoned with. Like, to me, that says something. That's a statement all on its own.
Yeah. I mean, like, leaving it running for an hour and a half after the award ceremony, like that's definitely not a race truck thing.
It's just that's crazy. That's crazy to see. So, I guess we'll back into that more. Let's talk about the dyno day, right? So, day 2, Saturday.
Dang, you're just skipping day 1.
Well, day 1. I mean, we talked about what the truck. Is there something I missed on the track? Oh shoot! Oh my God! Yes, I didn't want to bring up any bad things, but yes, I did see a photo of that.
I'll talk about it all. I don't care, good, bad, ugly. Like, all right, you get it.
Well, let's back into it, right? The truck goes 550s. I would assume that's a high. What happened on that pass when the truck, kind of got out from under you?
Well, the truck never was really there all day.
I've heard that. I've heard that from a couple guys.
A lot of people were having to crawl out of the hole a little bit, and we just cut a 133 and a 134 60 foot the passes before, so it was working okay. It was the ragged edge.
That is just in a 4-door long bed truck. That is fucking ridiculous. Like, what?
Where the mistake was made was the driver. You hear?
Okay.
That son of a bitch don't listen for nothing. Like, he's hard headed as all get out. And we've been doing good. We were tuned for fuel only. All my drag racing's fuel only.
Okay.
And we were doing good. And I should have listened to Nathan, and we were doing good. And then I turned it to tune 5. And then, whenever it shifted, right when it got going good, all the atmospheres came on.
Yeah.
And all the things started happening. And the little electric thingies that let all the pressure in. And then it just chop, chop, chop. And I throttled it. And then I heard a pop and a vibration. So I lifted. And then I kind of let the steering go towards the center. And that was the fastest fishtail I've ever experienced in my life. What I think happened is it went out. And it might have shook the tire, I don't know. But it did go out a ways, and then it got going real good, and then had a loud bang and a vibration, and I knew I broke something, and so I lifted. And then next thing I know, I'm going backwards, like really fast. And it was like glass. And then it just ever so graciously tapped the wall.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a lot worse than what it was, right? I think we can both agree on as far as the way it hit the wall. I would assume that was your last pass, though, on Friday.
Yeah. But on good news, for my I think it's my 5th year of competition, I finally did not oil down the racetrack.
You know what?
Didn't
That's a win.
Oil it down. I mean, I wrecked, yes, but it's not oil. See, that's different.
No,
man.
Much different. It's an easier cleanup. Drag you off.
So
and
don't put me on that stack. UCC.
So
all my fluid stayed in all weekend.
That's an accomplishment in its own right. Like that really is.
And then some of the fluids that were supposed to go in didn't go in. Like it was great. It was a real good time. Best experience at UCC ever for me.
So what damages took place from hitting the wall on Friday?
Well, luckily I didn't have my brand new Morimoto headlights for race week in it, so I had old junker eBay, so that's cool.
Hell
and
yeah!
Then just kind of straightened out my fender a little bit for me, helped me hang my fascia a little better, and scratched up the left. The worst thing that happened was one of the Bogarts, the barrels caved in.
So
and those Hoosiers only had 3 passes on them, but they're still okay. Like I'd run them. That might not mean much, but I'd run them again.
So what broke in the drive line, or what was the pop that you felt?
Front drive shaft, the double cardan joint blew apart, ripped the ears out of the U-joint on the front. So it's just started racing, and I had all the safety equipment, and it still came up. Right. So there's a 5-inch hole in the floorboard. The rule says for drag racing, you have to have a loop, and a driveline loop goes in the middle of the drive shaft.
That's not going to do anything.
But in sled pull rules, you have to have a 3/8 or half, depending on material, by 6-inch U-joint shield that encapsulates the U-joint.
Right.
But only the ones visible. I mean, good God, this is like doing taxes, bro. This shit's set up for failure.
Yeah.
Let me be honest here. Why can't we all have the same set of rules? Why don't every U-joint go in a 1/2-inch or 3/8 thick aluminum shield?
Yeah. Well, I feel like I don't know if it's more probability, but I feel like now that you've had this type of a situation, you're going to be more mindful of it, right?
Oh, I'm putting them in mine. I don't care how much they weigh.
Yeah.
There's a 5-inch hole right in my floorboard. We hammered it down. We were talking through it, hey, man, check the shift linkage. And you can see each other. And the guys running the shift linkage. It was great. No, it was great. Oh. It's coming out on YouTube. You'll see it.
We, probably about 8 years ago, we had a customer who he had a 2-wheel drive Duramax that we, no 2,000 horsepower. The truck just made I think 1,050, 1,070, something like that. And the customer, it was a 2-wheel drive cab and a half short bed, and it had one of the the standard 2-piece with the carrier bearing, and he wanted to do a 1-piece, so we dealt with our local drive shaft shop to build us a 1-piece. And the truck was on the dyno, universal joint let go, drive shaft fucking broke, went right through the floorboard. And
I believe it.
That is an intense, it put indentations in the rollers of the dyno. It caused some freaking damage. You don't really think about that. You're doing 100 some mile an hour, what that RPM, what everything's spinning, and then it just lets go like that. It's going to take out everything in its path.
Especially on the dyno, average mile per hour the load starts is 80 to 90.
Correct.
So that's where you're starting
Yep.
to spool them up. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. So Friday, you get the truck back into the tent. You do your repairs. You have your nice floor hole to make diagnostics and everything easier, which is awesome, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And,
that's right. Enhanced.
And and then Saturday morning, you pull for dyno, right, to see where you place for where you go. You were more middle end of the pack, correct? Middle of the pack?
Yeah, right in the middle. Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice and safe.
Saw you. I was running around back and forth and gave you knuckles as I was running through, waiting to see you go.
Appreciate that.
So, tell me about what happened on the dyno. Like, again, mentally prepare, right? Drag racing's behind you, right? You success, even though there were some hurdles. Sure. 550s are still a success in its own right.
Fourth or fifth, I think it was fifth. Like, I'll take that.
No oiling.
Out of 13 competitors, that's good. Yeah.
No oiling.
Really
you didn't have to train to trans. You didn't have to do a trans. I've heard some guys going through 4 or 5 transes on day one. None of that.
That's right. I've done that before. That's not cool.
So, where do you go from there? How did Saturday? What's the preparation like before you get on the rollers? And we'll go from there.
We threw in the big air and fuel, and threw in the fancy file and the nitrous and all that fun stuff. And we also built an axle that we had a really steep gear in. And a lot of people like to put on the fireworks show with the brakes when you're dragging a 5/16. Up the slotted rotor down. It's got holes and shit in it. And you got dual calipers on it. And you're throwing sparks 50, 60 feet in the air, and the whole thing looks really cool. Like killer shots. Yeah. Doesn't worth a damn on the dyno though. So I built an OEM dually brake rotor setup with dual stock calipers.
Okay. So on opposite ends?
Yep. Okay. Yep. And so dual caliper, the O'Reilly's $13 pads, a brand new O'Reilly's rotor, and we bedded it in very nice the night before on the jack stand with all the Australians. That was a good time.
Those guys are something else.
Yeah. They were talking shit, and they were talking about, chip it out, and we had it running and all that. And I was like, well, you want to see it instead of just smack it? So we spooled it up for them in the pits for plate, and that was fun. But it worked great, man. I was able to really mimic the load with the brakes a little too much. Actually, I had to get 1 or 2 run starts, and I had to drop the brakes.
Gotcha.
But ultimately, remember the year we did 6 pulls in 30 minutes and all that shenanigans?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what the first 4 was that file, that tune.
Okay.
That dot whatever. So that one no longer is with us. And so we flashed in the better file, and my nitrous wasn't working, so I decided to bypass a few recommended features. And when it came on really hard, and it just blew the intercooler out, which is funny because it blew out the driver's side of the intercooler.
Really?
And I've blown out the passenger side before, but that's red hot. I've seen compressor outlet temps 800 to 1,000 degrees. And so you work hard and anneal that aluminum time after time. So I reinforced the passenger side well, but the driver's side was like a grenade. So that's it. Pop the straps, put it in the sled pull trim, go get in the dirt. That's all you can do. I think it was 23 something. I think we did 4 or 5 pulls.
Yeah.
Now, all fuel except the one that popped, and then that put us like 4th or 5th again. I think.
How'd you feel? Like, you know that the truck is
terrible.
Not terrible.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt bad. I felt like I did that. Like I found my mistake, and turns out I'm no tuner, so I might need a professional to come over here and program the keyboard for the nitrous. There's a few switches and levers and things that I hadn't dragged that I should have had in dyno, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Whatever. The results are the results. You can't get mad. You can just swap tires and wheels and throw a box on the front.
But to be able to drive the truck off the dyno, make a legitimate number, 2,300 is still nothing to sneeze at, and the trans and engine are still intact, man. That's got to be a good feeling too, because you've been on the opposite end of that with carnage over the years too.
Oh yeah. I mean, there was one dyno that I've done that I couldn't drive off of, and that was in Delaware whenever I broke the back of the block for the front wheel drive stock horsepower world record. So that thing went up in a big ball of flames. That was pretty cool. I couldn't drive off that one. Other than that, I've always driven off. So, it burnt 5 gallons of race fuel on that dyno. like
5
and it was all
gallons
fuel-only
and
runs.
so 23
Yeah,
minutes. 23 minutes you were on the dyno. You burned through 5 gallons of race diesel.
and it ran the whole time except 12 minutes to flash it. So yeah, it ran for whatever 22, 20, 21 minutes.
Wild.
Yeah, never turned it off. Now, of course, I was driving like a punk. You know, I'm just starting in third, lugging through the converter, going black, lock it, run it up, hit overdrive, and it's lit halfway there.
Jeez.
Some guys, you know, they step their way up first, second, third, do all that shit kind of stuff. So that's kind of cool.
So
I do have one thing I gotta say though. I owe a major apology and shout out to Andrew at Long Range Gear.
okay.
We were putting a G56 in there. We were just about 3 or 4 weeks too late to the show. It came in the Wednesday of the week I was leaving, and me and you, or we had that podcast that day, and you asked me about it.
I heard a little through the grapevine, and I didn't want to go and say anything.
Unit. Dan Valance at Valor Clutch is helping us out. We got a Kenny's 4-disc sled pulling clutch for it, and that bad unit, 1 gear only reverse and fifth that Andrew built. And I haven't even touched it or seen it, and I don't even know where we lie in that, but ultimately I had to make the call as the owner and the crew chief and the financer and the racer.
Of course.
And the tow truck driver and the person that does it all. I couldn't. It was too many unknowns too late.
What?
So I apologize, Andrew.
You know what's crazy? Like, you went through and prepared, and then I feel like your trans knew you were going to trade it out for some of the event because it wanted to hold up and stay together for you.
I know, ain't that crazy?
That is insane.
Like the bitch listened.
It's a first, but
yeah. Nah, we've done UCC on one training before. I don't remember what year. There's too many years.
Okay.
And then King of the Street on one training before too. It's just they're like bullets, you know. Guns hold more than one bullet.
Right.
Unless it's a pea shooter.
Yeah. It's if you get lucky enough for the bullet to go off, right?
Yeah. You got to aim. You have to concentrate. Hit your target. Sometimes you got to go shoot a bunch of rounds to get good at shooting, you know.
Yeah. Oh, very true. Very true. Now,
so then, sled pull.
Well, now what did you do for the intercooler?
I have another one.
Okay, I was gonna say, was it repairable? Was it fixable?
No, it's another bullet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
I just chunked it inside. Yeah, it was blown up. I just chunked it over and got the back up.
Do you go and reinforce the new intercooler to start on both ends?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you get that done, and you're sitting pretty. Sled pull day 3. How did that go?
Oh, it went really good considering what we had to work with. I made a lot of calls that were not that great. I can remember we swapped the axle for dyno. Well, now we had to swap it back to drag.
Okay.
And sled, which is the little scallop chicken shit looking rotors and your gears for racing, real racing. And we had a brake line break off and some fancy AN fittings. And I said, screw it, you don't need rear brakes for sled pulling.
Nope.
Plug it off. So, okay, that's cool. And then we had a couple electric transmission shift actuator problems. So we had the old vice grip on the shifter down below you.
Okay.
And then I did not bring my front coils for sled pulling because the truck weighs so much more in the front that your preload and your suspension travel and rate of spring, all that comes into effect. So I had my drag race springs in the front, which you could imagine as soon as we put the box on, went straight to the limiter.
Oh, yeah.
So we tightened it all up, tightened it, and then we hoed in about 2,000 pounds and pumped up the tires. And we went out there with a recipe for hop. I can tell you that. If anyone was going to wheelie down that sled pull, it was going to be me. So it actually worked out really well. First off,
I mean,
I hate saying this, one of the worst sled pulling tracks I've ever hooked on in my career. Now, let me defend that. On Tuesday, when we showed up from Texas, they already had the sled pull track made. It was perfectly flat, all the equipment set there.
Really?
Sunday morning. Yep.
Okay.
So I love you, epic pullers. We have wonderful times with you, but dadgum, brother, show us some love. Because soon after the award ceremony, all the 2630 dudes are going to do their deal. Oh, then this water truck showed up. It was crazy.
Wow.
But sled pulling worked out really well. I went in there, and everybody was having spool-up problems getting off the line. The track was so dadgum tight. So I did what you're not supposed to do. I started in first gear. I started with pre-boost as soon as it made 10 pounds. I jabbed it, shifted second, grabbed a kit of nitrous. It went more, locked the torque converter, jabbed it, grabbed third, grabbed another kit, and held it to the wood.
Well,
that's not how you're supposed to do that. But it
it's
drove out, and it went out about 60 or 80 feet, and then lit, and then it was all just up and down from there. The left front tire came off the ground 3 times. And it was just like 1,000 RPM swing, just like the whole way. I was like, just keep her going,
just
baby.
white knuckling and holding on. Just get to the end, baby.
Yep. And then I felt that sled max out, and I'm like, this is it. We're down the last few seconds.
Yeah.
And I had her down. That was all she did.
I mean,
but it was 7.5 in front of Josh. So that's all I care about.
Well, I mean, we'll back up, right? You said, you started in first, and it's not really what you're supposed to do at a truck at that power level, probably not, but you also had to make the executive decision on how to get down the track watching others perform, right? So clearly that decision was beneficial to you. And I guess this is kind of where, when we talk about a competition truck like UCC or like,
the King of the Street.
King of the Street, thank you. Sorry. When there's multiple events like that, I feel like you could always go to a lighter truck, and it'll help with drag racing. You could always go with a smaller cab configuration. It'll help with drag racing. But your truck is pretty well set up, being the wheelbase that it is for sled pull, where I would always feel you have the advantage over a majority of the competitors that you compete against. And, the truck looks solid. Truck threw on a show, right? And you, again, made the executive call on how you were going to get down the track, and it paid off. What's it like when you're going down the track, right? And the truck is, having that 1,000 RPM deviation, the front end's kind of doing its own thing, and you're banging through the gears. Is it a, come on, baby, just make it to the end, hold on? Is it a, hey, I got this? You have good wheel speed, you have good momentum going down the track. Like, what's the feeling while you're going down the track?
It's very much keep your teeth clenched, try to stay in the seat, and never, ever, ever lift. At least that's my motto. And then just bounce it between. Keep it going straight. Keep it lit. Stay on the power. If you lift, if you snuff, you're out. You're done. Momentum. Everything we do, it's not racing. I think we all got it backwards. Ultimate Callout Challenge is not racing. It is doing your very personal best on 3 different surfaces against yourself.
Yeah.
And
I would agree with that.
You got to watch that track, and you got to watch that line. Some competitors, you can't really take what they're doing or the truck's doing as value.
No.
Because you can see mistakes all the time.
Of course.
But you're looking at that, how the dirt is reacting. How's it chunking? Is it going far? Is it pure dust? Is it huge chunks? Is it little chunks? Is it sinking? Is the truck sinking? Is the sled being drugged through it, or is the sled being popping a wheelie, being glide across it?
No.
So there's a lot that goes into it.
You hit that one on the head. I see a lot of like the local sled pull stuff, that we'll do. There'll be parts of the track where guys will get wheel hop, and everybody says the same thing. Oh, when you get to that, push through, don't back out. But then when you're in the truck and you're physically on the track and the guy starts to get that hop, seeing it versus feeling it are 2 very different things. So then they do back out of the throttle. Well, once you back out of the throttle and you get back in it, the momentum's dead. You just hold on. It's going to work its way through. So,
in my experience, you get about 3 really good whoops or bounces. You'll get like a 1 and then a 2, and when that 3rd one comes around, that's the drive lines, that's the gears.
Yep.
That's it. You better make a decision. You can time it. You can watch the box go down. You can throttle out, watch the box go down, and then jab it and grab a kit, and it'll stand straight up on the bounce, right? Because it's going to bounce out.
Okay.
It's going to bottom out and bounce up. So you can do that type of stuff, but good God, I would rather throttle it and catch it than bounce 3rd time and destroy front and rear drive lines and post to a stop.
No.
It's give and take.
But it's practice too, right? You said 5 years of competition, right? You couldn't speak this way without the experience. 5 years of it, nonetheless.
That's right.
So
that's right. Yep,
that's what's getting you crisper as you go down this rabbit hole. And I mean, from the sounds of what you said earlier, you're not done. You're doing something.
yeah. Hey, if there's a day that passes by and you don't learn anything, or you even trying,
you say something. I say to Nick, my boss, on a bi-daily basis, right? We'll have conversations, what have you, and I like to learn, maybe not at the same level as others, right? I was never very book smart or anything like that, but I learned something by daily. The day that I stop coming to work and learning something, that's the day I put my hat up, I'm done.
That's right.
You know,
I agree.
So it's just crazy to see when you think you know everything or you think you have a good handle on stuff, a curveball comes at you and
Oh yeah,
you'll learn
yeah.
something.
That's when you start getting nervous.
Yep.
You're like, it's coming. I know it.
Yep. Sometimes it's disruptive, sometimes it's beneficial, but at the end of the day, right, it's all about how you look at it and how you take that information in.
So you want to talk about next year's UCC or what?
I think if you're willing to put forth the energy out into the public, right, and you want to talk about it, yeah, I want to know what's the strategy, what's the game plan.
Well, next year's the 10-year anniversary.
Yes.
So something big's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it is, but something big's going to happen. I do know that they were talking about increasing payouts, which that's really cool.
Yeah.
You know? But we need more people racing, damn it.
No. So then you're throwing your hat into UCC for 2025 or for 2026 for the 10-year.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. All right. We heard it. It's there. So King of the Streets.
I feel like there has to be more to it.
I think
like we had 13 people show up, and I think it was somewhere around 30 registered.
Well, that's
all the diesel industry can bring for a once in a year fight for the retards that like to do all three in one truck.
Yeah.
Right?
I think
yearly fight, and that's all we can bring together.
I think, you know, and I'm not going to take anything away from Chris and James for UCC. You know, they're promoters of a competition, and they're trying to appease a group of people, and not every person is going to agree or be appreciative of some of the decisions set forth for the competition for that year. I think you could agree with that, right?
Sure, yeah. People have opinions.
So, you know, that's rubbed some people the wrong way to pull out. You've seen some of the shops, instead of being competitors in the contest, they're going to be supporters of other competitors in the show. I mean, it wasn't very many years ago that there were the UCC competitors, and there were more than 13, but then they had the junior class, right? And there were 20, 30 guys there competing. There was a lot of stuff going on all at once. Now they've kind of severed from that, and now they have the ODSS stuff, which, you know, it's cool for what it is, right? But for me, I'm not going there for ODSS. I'm going there for UCC, right? But I'm curious to see what the 10-year anniversary looks like, right? I've read a couple of guys talk about wanting to throw their hat in the ring, some of the early adopters of UCC to compete, which would be cool. You know, anytime another guy from the Cummins camp throws his hat in the ring, I'm fully about it, to say the least.
Tractor power.
You know, hey, you know what? It's the roots, right? But you know, I think the attraction of increased payouts, I think the attraction of kind of getting back to the roots of what UCC was in its inception, I personally believe that'd probably bring back some of those bigger shops or some of those other guys that, you know, were once competing. Yeah.
I feel like we definitely need more people in it. I feel like there's a whole bunch of seasoned vets that need to make an appearance.
Yeah.
Or they just need to shut up.
Yeah.
And then there needs to be a whole new influx of people that need to come in here and start learning how to do it. And then I kind of feel like the rules are too loose, but maybe just offer another class. But it could also be that we could do side-by-side time trials. We're all fighting over a drag strip.
Right.
And we don't need 7 practice runs to get good. I think we could get it done in 2 runs.
Right.
But you could run time trial like we've been doing for personal best side by side and have a separate little $500,000 or whatever dollar pot for reaction time matters, because now you're talking about giving the fans a show.
Right.
Instead of watching one truck run down in a minute or 30 seconds or however long another truck solo runs.
Well, yeah. I think when you bring that up, why do you only get 1 pass at the sled pull?
Well, yeah, I want 2.
Right.
Give us 2 heats.
Like,
put us an hour apart, whatever.
You know,
whatever. Like, why not? I just feel like I want to say it's too easy. It's not easy.
No.
It's not easy by any means. But at the level that we are all playing this game, it's too easy.
So you think that
King
you
of the
should be
Street's
held?
definitely harder.
Do you think you should be held to a higher expectation because of the elite level that you're competing in, to where they're too loose on the rules?
Yeah, or it needs to give it more endurance. Like, one great big smack on the dyno is great, but what if you're only allowed 2 tickets and you had to have 2 dyno runs?
So
And
you get the half-hour window to set up or do whatever, but you get 2 pulls and that's that.
Yeah, man. After you calibrate that thing at 2,000 RPM, you don't have no excuse. Them EGTs are plenty hot to make a pull when you're sitting there holding 2,000 for 15 or 20 seconds. And if it's not, give it a little brake attack, bro. Like, give it a little drag. The first time it makes 30 pounds, oh yeah, that turbine's ready for nitrous. So, like, get our shit together. A lot of us show up, me included, show up untested. And you're competing and you're learning and testing at the competition. I mean, hello. There's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of pride on the line. And it's only once a year. You know, all these other racing, they go race all year.
Do you feel that you become more prepared at All Truck Challenge than you do at UCC because it's later in the year?
Well, that depends on which vehicle you take and which attitude you take. Because if I took the green truck, I'd be way more prepared and way more competitive and way more serious and nowhere near as fun and probably more of a jerk. But my little red truck, however, I think we consume more alcohol than diesel fuel, and we got fit. Like, oh my gosh, I just went to have fun. Seriously,
right? It's
Took
not
2 sets of tires and wheels. Like, it's
not
amazing.
A full-time job in a 3 or 4 day event. Yeah,
absolutely not.
Let me ask you this: UCC used to be in the beginning of May, and then they pushed it to the beginning of June because of weather and things like that. You don't think that had any effect on preparation? You think that the competitors, I mean, for you personally, was that just another month's grace to be like, hey, I get to be delayed in getting the truck ready and not actually be prepared or test prior?
I mean, it doesn't affect us below Tennessee, I can tell you that, because I can drag race on Christmas Eve if I want to.
Yeah,
a lot of northern competitors can't do that. And
now you're just bragging. Now you're really just bragging. We get it.
Hey, that's y'all's fault. The location, man.
It is brutal.
One of the Duramax guys says, well, I guess I'll just come to Texas and drag race. Sure, let me know. I'll go out with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy, you know, in the diesel community, right, automotive community, you know, on social media outlets, you have friends from all over, and, you know, they don't have to tell you where they live. You know, you can tell by the posts at certain time of the year who lives where and who's doing what.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for real.
Now, you mentioned All Truck Challenge, right? Is that going to be, you're going to go to that again this year, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll go to that every year. I don't care if I just have a tow truck. That's a whole nother vibe. The All Truck Challenge with Matt and Sarah Chapman is a whole entire nother vibe.
Yeah.
They feed you 3 meals a day for like 4 or 5 days. It is a family oriented. They have bounce houses. They have kiddie go-kart races. Like, it is amazing amounts of fun. Loads of good people. No bullshit. There's no problems. There's no drama.
I mean,
it's
but that's
just nice.
A couple of years ago we had Sarah on, and I mean that was kind of like their mission from the start was, you know, they wanted something that was inviting, something that competitors can come to and truly have fun and enjoy the contest or that weekend event. I don't know of anyone who's competed in that event and has anything negative to say.
That's right. A lot of the big name guys don't even go out there because Delaware is so far of a drive.
Yeah.
Oh my God, y'all are in the middle of the whole country. Texas is so far away. Yeah, you keep whispering.
Yeah, I think the thing that's difficult to wrap my head around on that is the guys that are saying it's too far of a drive, like you mentioned, are already somewhat Midwest based. How are you going to sit there and say that Delaware East Coast is too far when you have guys traveling from Texas to Indiana, right, and California to Indiana? Like, it wasn't very long ago, you know, the Canadian guys traveling. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah, they still do. And then the whole power driven camp from Salt Lake.
Didn't even think of that.
Yeah, they're like 40 hours, dude. McCormick just got home like yesterday.
Yeah. No, he, you know, he saw the post or whatever. He got home. It was, as of like 9:30 this morning, it was like 14 hours that he posted it. Like, dude traveled a week, competed, and then traveled a week home. You know.
So
What?
yeah, Kenny was Cali.
Yep. Bruner was that way
Yep.
too. Yep.
So originally, they had 50 competitors for King of the Street, and that's where they capped it. And I kept running my mouth, and now we're up to 73 competitors.
What?
Like signed up.
73 competitors to do All
73.
Truck Challenge?
Yep, that's what signed up
Holy
this year.
Wow.
And so now I don't know what number's going to show up.
Right. Well,
But
I mean,
let's just say 50% show up.
I was just going to say, cut half. That turn, the amount of people that showed up for that are still impressive nonetheless. That's a very large competitive truck pool.
You're like, somebody needs to go out there and video this and capture this and show the mainstream audience. Because I play both sides of this fence, but it's very much a fence on different pieces of property. They share the same property line, but not all the players cross over.
No.
And if you have a truck that has a bed, glass, all the safety equipment, and a license, and all like you have to own it.
Yeah.
If it's a legit street truck, you have to drive 100 miles at sled pull weight. And then you got drag race, then you got a dyno challenge, then you got dirt drag racing, and then you got 2 heats of sled pull plus the street drive 100-mile sled pull weight. And it's real racing.
Well, I feel
So
like
it's a whole nother thing.
It's also like the All Truck Challenge to me is kind of like the Diesel Power Challenge on steroids. Right?
It is.
And
you can change tires, wheels, turbos. Yep.
It's one of those, like, I mean, we all started in this industry with magazine print, right? And reading through, I remember the couple of magazines a year where Diesel Power Challenge was printed. Like, you looked forward to that. Like, that was really enticing to see and read through, and that was invite only. Now, with All Truck Challenge, like, hey, you think you have a badass truck, or hey, you think you can drive the truck? There's a lot of badass trucks out there, and the owners of the trucks have no business driving them. Let's just be real.
Oh, yes.
So
they just pay people to build them.
Yeah.
Then they fly in and break it.
So it's like, if you have a badass truck and you can drive, like, you can drive yourself or tow this thing out to Delaware, and you can compete with the best of the best. And have a good weekend doing it, right? That's that collaborative effort of just having good old diesel fun the way it used to be.
Major shout out to Motor Trend Magazine, Diesel Power Magazine, KJ Jones. That man laid the foundation for us.
Oh, yeah.
That was the longest running challenge of all challenges. It was like 10 or 12 years.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they're based in California, so you know what happened there.
Of course.
But I feel like that we can take this rule set, or we can take this idea or this principle, and we can apply it to today.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you had guys entering trucks that you could not change the tires and wheels for drag race, dyno, sled pull, dirt drag, street drive, whatever. What if you could have a sticker that if you didn't break the lug nut loose, or if you didn't break the hood open, the sticker was worth 150 points on your driving. Like, man, we would have 2,500 horsepower daily driver type trucks out here banging out freaking 5-second 8 miles on Toyo ATs.
I feel like what you're saying is kind of like a diesel oriented, like, it would be like a drag week in a sense. You could essentially kind of build. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you could do something really interactive like that.
I had an idea for my own event in Texas. Friday night, we all leave my shop, travel in a convoy together, open invite, winner take all, free to enter. Just got Drivegrass, Texas. And we drive from my shop to the drag strip an hour away, carry all your belongings, 2 rips down a test and tune, 500 points to the winner of each pass, whatever. And then drive to the shop, lock them up, quarantine, get to the shop Saturday, drive them in a convoy out to sled pull an hour west, 2 heats of open sled, carry all your crap, drive back to the shop, lock them up. And then the next day, dyno at the shop, 2 runs. Winner take all.
Clean and simple. Clean and simple.
One group, no rules, one group, street trim stuff.
That'd be badass. Is that also in the pipeline, or that's just that's your driving from Texas to Indiana, and like this would be something cool to get behind?
No, I've been talking about this for a year, and I've been saying to all these events, because I got just enough piece of property doing it, and I got just enough venues to let me do something on their property.
There you go.
It's like, well, man, we're getting affordable now.
Yep.
And if I got sponsors to kick up like 75 or 10 grand or 15, 20 grand, something like that, and it was a winner take all,
Yeah.
and it was free entry. You just got to drive your ass to Texas.
No, I mean, at that point, the money doesn't lie, right? People are going to follow the money if there's a couple bucks
That's
that
right.
grabs, and it's not going to cost them anything to be involved in it.
But I heard there's a
besides the
lot
truck.
that are scared to put their pretty trucks in the dirt, and that's
Well,
why they're not competing against me.
You know what? You know what?
Yeah.
They got to keep the paint clean. That was a joke. That'd be really cool. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a truck, right? The truck was made to get dirty. The truck was made to get scratches. You know, it's
Yeah.
everybody or the guys that are competing at the level that you're at, right? They just chose to run deck plate motors and billet rods and big ass turbochargers and garden hoses for injectors and, you know, full send down whatever the track is that they're operating under.
And then they tow it all the way to the starting line.
Yep. And they tow it all the way to the starting line. You said it.
King of the Streets always did that thing where they would do the 100-mile.
Yeah, the drive.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Diesel Power Challenge. That's how it was, right? I guess towards the tail end of it, they were doing the mileage on a dyno, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah.
the roots of it, you know, they went on a drive. You know, I forget how many miles it was to calculate the fuel mileage.
That's
You know?
how we could make it the street. Like, the vehicles don't have to leave the property. That's obviously a major insurance problem.
Right.
But if you have the dyno there, it has variable roller speed and variable load.
Yeah.
And there could be a map written on the dyno for 20 minutes of a simulated test drive. And then the driver has a +% and a -% they have to keep between the RPMs and load.
Yeah.
Keep it in the middle of the two marks, and you're good getting points.
You're ready.
Step out of the marks, points are deducted.
Yeah. Well,
There's a whole lot of really cool things we could do. And it's a shame that more of the industry isn't stepping up and doing some of this.
yeah. I feel like it's just more of like you got to talk about it and network yourself around others that, you know, aren't maybe thinking that it's actually plausible, right? It takes 2 or 3 guys, you know, with a decent head on their shoulders to put something like it together, and it's game time.
Every time we go out, we get more traction and we
Yeah.
get better at what we do, and we get more people willing to help us and do things with us.
Networking 101, right?
That's right.
Beautiful. Well, Chris, we appreciate you taking the time. Is there anyone you want to give a thanks to going into, you know, the rest of the 2025 competitive season?
All the sponsors that have been there for years: Flex Diesel, Yukon, Dan Valance Valor Clutch, PD Diesel, Matt Santry Valor, Diesel Performance Converter, John Muldoon, tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of people. But the most important shout out goes to my wife, Kaylee.
There you go.
She has supported me in and out through the highs and lows of multiple years, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars spent doing this, and extreme stress. We miss our anniversary every year because of UCC, and yet she still flies up and still supports and does it with a smile. So, babe, I love you, and I can't wait to come home and see you.
There you go. Thank you again, Chris. Have safe travels.
Y'all too, man. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, no roll cage, just a good old time slap on the ass, hang on. Like, it's, man, that girl knows how to get down.